Well, Jen, the sign here reads State Capitol grounds closed. That is because this is where hundreds of lawmakers are expected to be sworn in tomorrow morning, and also expected to be in attendance hundreds of protesters. The Connecticut General Assembly beginning the 2021 session Wednesday morning. The Senate kicking off the event at 10 a.m. outside the state capitol due to the COVID pandemic, followed by the House of Representatives taking their oath of office overlooking Bushnell Park.
And then we'll go back into the chamber and members will go back to their offices and we'll vote on the things we have to vote on.
Speaker-elect Matthew Ritter will be elected to his first term as Speaker.
It's important to keep traditions like this alive. To your point, every 2 years under our state constitution, we gather. We vote people, we swear people in to serve for 2 years in Connecticut's General Assembly. I think that's important.
Also new this year, Governor Lamont will not deliver a State of the State address in person. Instead, a pre-recorded video will be shown. And joining lawmakers from a distance, hundreds of anticipated protesters.
Both rallies are rallying for our rights. The rights that we believe have been taken away from us during these lockdowns.
Grassroots organization CT Freedom Alliance is planning a protest against a proposal repealing religious exemptions for school vaccinations, as well as COVID-19 restrictions such as mandatory mask wearing and a number of the governor's COVID executive orders.
The rights to operate businesses, the rights to travel freely, within the state, without the state, everything from dining out to being able to even attend school.
There's nothing more American than a protest on the swearing in of a General Assembly or Congress or president. That's expected. We expect people obviously to exercise their First Amendment rights.
And tomorrow's event is closed to the public. Capitol Police have actually set up this orange fence. It will act as a barrier surrounding the state capitol to keep those potential protesters at a distance. We're live at the state capitol in Hartford. It's Nia Maldonado, Fox 1 News.